women's 100. The final is on Friday. Gordon, why don't you start us off on this women's 100? Who is your favorite in this race?
I mean, I assume it's the same as you. The favorite is Sha'Carri Richardson. She wasn't the favorite 2 months ago, but now she is after the past few races she's put together from Prefontaine, NYC Grand Prix. Sha'Carri Richardson, the favorite, and I'd be surprised if you don't also agree with that, right?
It was actually close because you look at
Ooh,
Aaliyah
okay.
Hobbs, who beat her in New York, ran 1083. Remember, Hobbs also beat her in Florida. So I think you can make an argument for Hobbs over Richardson. I went with Richardson just because they've been super duper close, or they were super close in New York City, and then I just like the consistency that Richardson showed in big races from pre on to New York. But I anticipate both Hobbs and Richardson making this team, and it'll be a good bit of redemption for Hobbs. Remember last year at trials with the false start and then the DQ and then reinstate? Like there was all just chaos around her race. So hopefully for her, she doesn't have any sort of issues like that. But I could see a good case being made for Aaliyah Hobbs as well.
Yeah, I can see that. But, I think Richardson, when you go back all the way into 2021, can't ignore how great she was there. And Hobbs needed like, how did Hobbs get into the final last year at USA's? It was she had like a fake false start or something like that. Do you remember that? They like
Yeah.
let her
So they
run. Yeah.
she was yeah, well, she was DQ'd and then there was a protest and then she was added and then she ended up getting sixth. But
Yeah.
that's just all that happened because the semifinals and the finals are an hour apart, hour and a half apart. Like all that happened in such a small time period. It's tough to expect someone to bounce back from all that. So I don't think we saw the best Aaliyah Hobbs. I think we're seeing it now. She set a PR for the first time in 5 years in New York. I think she's always had it. And I think this is gonna be the year she gets into that top three. Who is, Gordon, your sleeper? Do you want to define sleeper or do we just want to let that be a nebulous, fluid term here?
It's nebulous, it's fluid, it's flubber, it's whatever you want it to be. Um, yeah. We're not going to define anything. We don't need to define terms, man. It's 2022. We don't need no definitions. Okay. So,
So, speaking of terms, shout out to you, by the way. I listened to the Paris recap pod, and I think you said exposition at some point, and I was waiting
yeah.
for Colt to come in and be like, "Nice job, Gordon." But
Oh,
well done
thanks,
by
man.
you.
I
Yeah, yeah,
appreciate that.
good job.
Um,
Sleeper.
so my sleeper. Hold on. When we're doing this whole thing, you're not making me go first every time, right?
No, we're alternating.
Okay, good. Good. All right. My sleeper, I was choosing between two people, and I decided to go with the younger one. I'm going with Melissa Jefferson, Coastal Carolina. She surprised everyone in the indoor 60. She didn't have that great of a outdoor NCAA championship. She did make both finals in the one and the two. But Melissa Jefferson, she's run 1088. She ran that back in mid May. She's my sleeper because no one is picking the college kid from Coastal Carolina to make this team. I mean, maybe she finds a way to get on the final and get sixth and be in the relay pool. But yeah, Melissa Jefferson's my sleeper.
Hmm.
How
Okay,
about you?
I went. There was a couple people that I was bouncing around with, but it was tough to define it, right? So I actually went with Prandini because I think she's
Ooh,
known
it's a
more as a
good.
200. Well, she's known more as a 200 runner, and then if you look at the entry list, because that time that she ran was wind aided in Florida, she lost to Richardson by a very small amount, but that was wind aided. She's entered at an 11:11. I also thought about Brittany Brown, Sturgis. A lot of people are saying Sturgis in the chat. I don't know if that qualifies as a sleeper. She was NCAA champion a couple years back. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of people that haven't made a team before, and then you want to say, okay, does that make them a sleeper? But they also have finished really well, either in NCAA's or in championships before. So I'm gonna go with Prandini on that one, even though because I feel like in the 100 she should be considered a sleeper, but there's a lot of women. I'll make my pick
Okay.
first.
And you got
Um,
to make the picks in order. I want to. You got to go one, two, and three order.
yeah, so I'll go Richardson, Hobbs, and then I went Twanisha Terry third. She's been really consistent. Um, Pre was the only race where she was outside the top three. She is always in the mix, so I'm going Twanisha Terry for that third spot.
I agree with you on the top two. I'm going Richardson, Hobbs, but I'm going Brittany Brown for that third spot. Brittany
Wait a
Brown.
minute.
Yes.
I thought for sure you're gonna go Daniels.
I thought for sure I was too, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm going with Brittany Brown.
Brittany Brown. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Those are the picks for the I mean, don't again, I'm gonna say the phrase don't sleep on Tiana Daniels because as you mentioned, all she does is make teams.
Yep.
And maybe now she does qualify as a sleeper, even though she makes all the teams because we win again without picking her. We're doing the exact thing that happens to her every single year.
We don't learn.
Okay.
We just never learn
No.
from our mistakes. We just don't learn.
Yeah. I mean, I think Daniels for sure will be in the final, and I think it's going to be one of those races where it's wide open, especially for that third spot.